Hello you guys, what's up? How are you? For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys, finally. Yes, so for today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my eyeshadow palette declutter video. It's been a minute. I started my declutter series, I want to say back in September or the end of August. I did blush, bronzers, highlighters, and I think a few other categories as well. Of course, I'll leave my declutter playlist down below in the description box if you guys are new here or if you're not sure how my style works. With declutters, it's no games being played style. That's like my slogan of life. I keep the product if I love it, if it means something to me, or if I use it. And I declutter if it's just taking up space, if I'm not inspired by it anymore, and if I'm just like not feeling it, you know? And if I feel like if I can give it a better home, then I just, declutter. I will be posting most of the palettes that I'm going to be decluttering on my Poshmark, which I'll leave linked down below. If you guys ever purchase anything, I always appreciate it. It means the world. And for you to know, with any amount of money that I make, 10% always goes to either a family in need, charity, something, and that goes with any amount of money, not necessarily Poshmark. So it's something that's really huge in the Jewish world. Any amount you make, everyone needs to give 10% away. That's just the way, that's just the way things roll. And I love that because it gives me the opportunity to always give back no matter what, not only when I'm like feeling it. You know what I'm saying? I love it. It's like my favorite thing to do. Honestly, it's like so, I love it. So yeah, there's that. I think that's pretty much it. I'm in the zone of like wanting to get rid of things. So I think this might be a solid video. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here is what is included in the first drawer of palettes. I would definitely love to organize it and keep it a bit more neater, but here's what we have so far. The first palette that I have up here is the Eyesdaow and Hello Kitty palette. I thought that this was really, really cute. I also felt like the quality was really nice. It isn't one that I necessarily gravitate towards as much anymore now. I think it was limited edition and I don't know, it's not one that necessarily speaks to me. I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. Next up, I have the Tartelette Juicy palette here. This right here was actually a little bit of a disappointment for me. I was expecting the world with this. I absolutely love the color story. And I thought it's gonna be like my #1 favorite go-to palette of all time. And I was excited to see that Tarte was releasing more of these. So I'm like, okay, great. This felt really, really short for me. I felt like the quality was just not there. The mattes were good. The metallics were very lackluster and you really had to build up. It just, even for a lighter look, it just wasn't doing it for me. So unfortunately, I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. Next, I have the Tarte and Sugar Fix Double Shot Palette. I was actually gonna return this, but then I threw out the box and I'm like, okay, whatever. I usually typically don't like to return stuff just because I feel like it's kind of wasteful. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I didn't like this either. I felt like also it was very like lackluster, very like basic, nothing to write home about really. The mattes were nice. The metallics I feel like were lacking. And every time I use this, the look that I came up with, I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. Not something that I love. So I'm gonna declutter. Okay, let's speak about something that I'm for sure gonna keep. This is the Huda Beauty Amethyst Obsessions palette. I actually spoke about this in my Sephora recommendations video. I really, really love this. I find that the quality is pretty good. Not the bestest thing ever, but you could get gorgeous looks with this one. And I still really enjoy using it. You get matte and metallics and I think it's stunning on the eyes, plus it wears off beautifully too, so I'm gonna keep it. Next, I have this palette here from Honest Beauty. It's called the Get It Together palette. I did wanna try this out because I'm like fairly new to the brand. I thought that this was okay. I wasn't obsessed with the formula. I think that they blended out just fine. Most of the shades in here are pretty dark, so every time I use this, well, most of the times I use this, it looked really, really deep. So I didn't really like that this palette didn't have versatility for me. You also get mainly mattes in here, and I think basically only one metallic. So if you can get it on sale and you were curious, maybe it'd be worth it, but for me, I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. Next, I have these 3 palettes here from Huda Beauty. These are the Wild palettes. So firstly, I have the, Wild Jaguar. I kind of like that this is just small, compact, and it has like that cooler color story if I'm going for that vibe. I'm just thinking if I really need to keep this because I have other ones from Natasha Denona. I'm in a pickle with this one. Let's see, one second. I also have this one right over here. And I think I'm going to declutter this one because I have other ones that are very, very similar to this. I thought that these Wild palettes were good. I'm not going to say they're her best formula ever, but they're good. If you were curious about them, I do have a video up on them on my channel. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this. This one right here, I actually really loved. I love the versatility that this had to offer. I just really enjoyed the looks that I came up with when I used this, and I felt like it was pretty unique to my collection, and it is pretty unique to my collection. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one. But you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter the Wild Jaguar just because I have so many other ones that have a similar vibe to this. So we're going big or going home here. So declutter. Next, I have these two palettes here from ColourPop. I definitely want to keep one. I don't think I necessarily need both. I have the Wild Nothing palette here, which I do like. I love peachy tones on my eyes, and I do like that this one comes with like a deeper brown. I think that this works out pretty well. I have a first impression up on this as well if you guys want to see. So we have that, and then we have the Sweet Talk palette. I just feel like I might like this one a little bit more. Here what they both look like side by side. Actually, I might keep the Wild Nothing because I really don't like these loose glitter PC shades in the palettes. I think that they're nice from time to time, but I'd rather get more like Super Shock vibes than those. So, and also I think I like this deeper brown more because it's deeper than this one right over here. So I actually will end up keeping Wild Nothing. I think it's a good one. I do enjoy using it, and I'm gonna get rid of Sweet Talk. As much as I had this in my collection, honestly, I just haven't used it as much as I would like. So I'm gonna say goodbye. Next, I have this palette here from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Instant Eye palette. I recently received this in my Charlotte Tilbury advent calendar that I purchased. So fairly new to me. I do like this. I think it's very pretty and sparkly and easy on the eyes. And I feel like every time I wear this, you guys are obsessed. So I'm still gonna keep this because it is fairly new to me, and I still wanna see what other combos I can come up with. I'm like looking through the drawer here thinking like, what am I getting rid of? What am I keeping? Okay, this I definitely know I'm gonna get rid of. This is the Beauty Bakery Proof is in the Pudding palette. This palette was a huge downer for me. The color story was very like basic, very generic, I would say. But I did want to give this a go because I heard amazing things about the brand. But this felt really short for me. The shades in here really just do not perform. Like the mattes are very like not the vibe, and the metallics are beyond terrible. Like it's so hard to get a look with this, and even when you do get a look, it's like you know what I'm saying, like I don't know if I'm feeling this, you know. Really, the quality of this one was not for me at all. Definite fail for sure. So declutter. Next, I have the ColourPop and Lizzie McGuire palette. This I'm gonna go ahead and keep. Loved Lizzie McGuire growing up, and I do really enjoy the color story of this one, plus the quality is great, so I'm gonna keep that. Next, I have these palettes here by Too Faced. So I have the Christmas Coffee palette, which I'm kind of sad about because I broke one of the shades right over here, like the green one, and I felt like it really was the main standout of this palette. I accidentally dropped it. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this. Maybe I'll purchase a new one, maybe not, but I'm thinking maybe it was, you know, a sign for me to just be like, girl, you don't really need this in your life. I don't know, you know. Disappointed because I just purchased this, but we'll see. Maybe if I'll be able to find it on sale, like a new one obviously, without the shade being broken, I will repurchase, but for now I want to declutter. And then I have the Forbidden Fruitcake palette here. I think that this is really cute. I feel like I have to get back to you guys on a lot of these palettes, like in my I'll Keep You Posted video. I thought the quality was nice, not fully obsessed with it, but I used it a few times and I was like, okay. I'm not crazy over it. I'm not crazy with the looks that I create with this one. I really don't like these kind of shades. Are my least favorite shades ever. Like a blue with a brown shift, they look terrible on me, I feel like. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and declutter, even though it is fairly new. I think I'm gonna say goodbye. Next, I have the Lawless The Baby 1 palette here. The baby. So this is one I'm gonna go ahead and keep. I've used this a ton, and I just feel like every time I wear it, I'm feeling myself, and I just love how these perform, blend. I want to pick up her other baby palettes, but so far I just have this one, and I think it just, you know, compacted into one perfectly. Plus it's so affordable for Lawless, I want to say. So I'm gonna keep. Next up, I have the Kokie Peachy Queen palette. Kokie is sold at Rite Aid stores. I don't love the fact that they're not so easily accessible. Like I would love for them to be sold on Ulta. But I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this. I feel like this was a color story I was maybe into 3-4 years ago when like the Too Faced peachy vibe came out, but I don't really use this. I thought that this was nice though. So if you are looking for this color story, I find that the mattes blend out nicely. The metallic satin shades are not as boom, but if you are into that like very subtle look, these work out really nicely. But I'm gonna go ahead and declutter that. Next, I have these palettes here from Wet n Wild, which I actually do want to keep. I find that these perform pretty nicely for drugstore, and I have to say that because I feel like this compared to like Urban Decay or Natasha Denona, like there's no comparison really. But like I think it's a great palette if you are looking for something more affordable that will like work. I think that this, I mean, it's really pretty, and I find that the shades work out really nice. So I'm gonna keep it. I do actually enjoy using it, pretty good. And then for this one as well, more of a generic color story, but still really pretty, and I've gotten really gorgeous looks with this, so I'm gonna keep it. Next, I have a bunch of palettes here from Kaleidos. Now, I'll be honest, I don't necessarily reach for these. I know that they're so cute and they're such a vibe, but I just feel like they're really taking up space, and I just don't gravitate towards many of them. So there was a point where I did want to collect all, and now I just kind of feel like it's okay, you know. I can gift it to someone else who might be even more interested. So I have this one right here, which I'm gonna declutter. I don't really reach for this one as much. This right here is the Futurism 3 palette, I wanna say. And I'm not that into these kind of tones. I feel like sometimes these shades kind of look a drop dirty on me, so I'm gonna declutter this as well. Next, I have this one right here, which I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep. Yeah, this one right here is really pretty. The purple tones in here are everything to me, so I'm gonna keep that. Next, I have the Cyber Bronze palette, which is really pretty, and this red shade is gorgeous, but I just don't reach for it, so I'm gonna declutter. This right here is their Neon palette, which is stunning, but I do have other neon palettes that I use more than this one, so I'm gonna declutter this. And then I have the Sashimi City palette, which is more of like your bronzy neutral tone palette. I have a bunch of these type of colors in my collection, so I'm gonna declutter this one as well. Then I also have the Club Nebula palette, which I think is really gorgeous, and I've used this a handful of times, but I just don't feel like it's a palette that I'm, you know, consistently pulling out of my collection and using. I think I'm ready to part ways with this and declutter. Then I also have the green Sky-Fi palette here, which I feel like I know who I kind of want to give this to. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. I think that you'll really, really enjoy it. Next, I have these three little ones by NARS. So first up is the Orgasm palette. And here's what this one looks like. I don't feel like I necessarily need all of them. This right here is Laguna. You have like more of like the brown tones. And then I have the Dolce Vita. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter Orgasm. I would say from the three, this is the one I use the least, but I will keep Laguna and Dolce Vita. I do really like these color stories, and I pair them together at times too. Beautiful. Next, I have the Tartelette Toasted palette here. As much as I want to keep this, and I feel like it's such a classic OG, I feel like I haven't reached for it in such a long time, and it keeps getting through like my declutter videos, and I just don't find myself really ever pulling it out. So I just feel like I'm not inspired by this anymore. And I already have the Urban Decay Heat palette, which I would say has a similar color story. So I think I'm gonna keep the Urban Decay one and declutter this one. Next, I have the e.l.f. Retro Paradise palette here. I would say the mattes were the winners in this palette. The metallics just felt a little bit thick. Although I did really enjoy this at the time it came out. I felt like I was able to create a bunch of different looks since the color story is, I would say, somewhat pretty unique. I think it was limited edition. I don't think it's available anymore, and I typically don't love to use items that are limited edition. Like, I just don't. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this to a better home. Next up, I have this palette here from Morphe. This is the Sour Patch Kids palette. I actually really like this. I thought that the color story was pretty unique. I loved using it the few times that I did use it, and it is fairly new to me, so I still kind of want to give it a little bit more love and see what I could create, you know, using this one. Plus, I have a lot of like neons and bright shades in here, so I feel like I'm covered in that department in a sense. So I'm gonna keep this. Next, I have these palettes here from Artist Couture. So at some point I did want to collect all of the Artist Couture ones, but now I think to myself, I'm not 100% sure, because I'll tell you why in a second. So firstly, we have the Supreme Nudes, which I really, really like this for the fall, for the winter as well. I find that the shades work out really beautifully. They blend nicely. You get matte and metallics in here, and I really like this one. I have to remember to use it more, but I do really like it. So I'm going to keep this. However, the Supreme Bronze palette is one that I don't know, just really disappointed me. I felt like it was lacking a lot. It was really hard to work with, really hard to blend out, and the shades just, it just didn't look the bestest on the eyes. So I think I'm gonna declutter this. Next, I have the e.l.f. Rose Gold palette here. I do like this one for a drugstore palette. You can come up with really, really pretty looks using this. and they do look significantly different depending on what shades you wear. So I'm gonna keep this. I do really like it from time to time. Next, I have the Jungle Lights palette here by Flower Beauty. This is really pretty as a one swipe swatch situation kind of thing. So you can use it with your fingers, with a brush. I like to use it with my fingers if I'm going for that one shadow look, or I can use this in conjunction with other palettes. These are very, very pigmented, very silver foil-like, and just stunning on the eyes. They really amp up your look, so I'm gonna keep this. Next, I have the Violet Voss Sunset palette, which I actually just got in Boxy, but I'm gonna declutter this one. Not a fan of Violet Voss shadows, honestly. I just find that they don't perform well. I never feel inspired by the palettes I own by them, and truly it's not something that I really just enjoy. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. I feel like I sound so picky here, but I feel like I'm just telling you as it is. I mean, next I have this palette here from NYX. This is the Ultimate Edit palette. This is very nice if you are looking for a drugstore palette, something affordable that works. The mattes in here are stunning. The metallics / satins are decent, but you can use this with other palettes if you'd like. I really, really like this one, and the tones are so pretty. I feel like especially on brown eyes, since I have brown eyes, but I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna go ahead and declutter these two palettes right here by Koki. I feel like these always make it through my declutters, but they're just palettes that I really just do not reach for. I feel like they are gorgeous though. So again, Koki is sold at Rite Aid. This is the Pure Magic palette. It's nice quality. And then I have the Arabian Nights palette here as well, which looks just like this. We get a few more fiery tones in here, but also like blues and greens, but I'm gonna declutter. Next, I have this palette here from Pixi. I think that this is really nice. Definitely more of like your cooler tone palette. You get matte metallics and satins in here. And I haven't given this love recently, but I think it's still pretty good, so I'm gonna keep that. Next, I have this palette here from Melt. It's the Brunette palette. Not my favorite from their line. I felt like the quality was not the bestest, but it wasn't the worst either. I did enjoy using it though, and I did like the looks that I came up with when I used it. It's really pretty. So I think I'm gonna keep it and give it a little bit more love. Next up, I have this palette here by BH Cosmetics. I thought that this was nice. It was very on par with their other palettes that they have in their line. I think BH does, you know, pretty good shadows for their price point. And I always have to mention that, like I said before also, because, you know, price point plays a factor. So I think I will declutter this though, just because I have a bunch of other Natasha Denona palettes that have like a similar color story. And this was nice the few times that I used it, but I think I'm ready to part ways with this. Next, I have this palette here from Revlon. This is the Big Bang palette. I thought it was nice if you wanted like a one and done, one swipe swatch situation, like look. You know, they're nice on the eyes. I don't find that they wear the best though, but they're okay. I think I'm gonna declutter though because I just don't really use it as much. I'm also gonna go ahead and declutter this palette. I believe it was a limited edition, and I thought it was cute. Definitely more like a summer palette for me, but I don't really reach for it as much as I would like, so I'm gonna declutter this. Next, I have this Maverick palette here, which I actually don't think I even used. I did pick it up for a video, but I never ended up making it. So I think I'm gonna keep it. I think I'm gonna keep it for now. See what the vibe is. And then the final palette I have here is the Escape Pod palette. I do think it's really pretty, and I think you can create just a bunch of different looks with this. But personally, I'll be honest, I just don't use it. I really just don't. The only two shades I really love in here are these two. Like the other shades are also really nice, but those are the only ones that I feel like I'm obsessed with, and I think I have those in other palettes. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter, give this a better home, someone who will actually use it more than me. Okay, that's pretty much it for this drawer. I think we did pretty amazing. Okay, so here's my declutter pile so far. I'm getting rid of 29, which I think is pretty decent. And then moving over to this side, these are the ones that I'm keeping, and I'm keeping 19. I have like my whole cleaning station here as I'm wiping my drawers. But now I'm thinking to myself, I actually think I'm going to declutter this one because I find that these two are actually very similar. I tried a different palette from this line and I thought it was very mediocre. This is actually great quality for a drugstore palette, really nice. So I'm going to put this in the declutter pile. So I'm going to keep 18 in the end and declutter 30. Okay, then this right here is actually the last drawer. I did put everything from here in the drawer that we just emptied because the camera can't go so low. Like, I can't really film well since it's the last drawer, so we're gonna pop into this drawer, but we have one empty drawer. But yeah, here is what we are working with. Tons to cover. go get some snacks. I have this Sephora I Love palette in medium cool, which I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. There are other cool tone palettes that I really love that I feel like are better than this. This is okay. I feel like for 12 bucks, it's not bad. However, I'm gonna keep this I Love palette, the medium warm. This is one of my favorite palettes ever. I just love these shades and these shades, like blacks and this kind of color together are my actual life. So pretty. And I really like how this performs. I think it's actually the better ones, one of the better ones that they have from the I Love line. So keeping this. Next, I have these two palettes here from Pixi. I already kept one Pixi palette, which I do like. This right here, I felt like was very thin in consistency and it didn't perform as well as I would like. So I'm gonna declutter that. And then I'm gonna declutter this one as well, which has more of like those rosier tones. I think they're okay, but they're not like favorites, so declutter. Next, I have this Lorac Little Baby palette. This is the sparkling palette. I think that this is really cute. You get 3 mattes and 3 metallics. I have a few other little baby palettes that I do prefer over this one since this doesn't have such a deep matte shade. I just like having deeper browns or even a black to spice things up, but this doesn't have it, and I like the quality, but I just have other little ones that I use more than this. So I'm gonna declutter. These palettes right here by Huda, I absolutely love. These are definitely one of her better ones when it comes to these 9-pan palettes. So Nude Medium is just literally an obsession of mine. It's such a solid one from her line. The tones, everything about this, I'm obsessed. So I'm gonna keep this. I am also going to keep the Nude Rich, which I also really like. I just haven't really dipped into this one as much as I did with the medium, but also one of the better ones out there. And I love these like rosy red, brick red colors. So pretty. And do you hear the beep? Whoa, I love this color. Keep. Next, I have this Color Boss palette here by Il Makiage. I thought that this was nice. Nice quality. Good color story. I just think it's also more on the generic side. I have a bunch like this already and I don't reach for this, so I'm gonna declutter. Next, I have this palette here from Nabla. If I do wanna go for that loose glitter like vibe, you do have to use these with an adhesive because they are like loose. Then I will pull this out. It's not one that I gravitate towards like a lot though, but it is nice from time to time. I know that that ColourPop has these kind of shades as well, but I like that this is its own palette that's just this. So if I am going for that look, I have the option here. So I'm gonna keep this. I'm also going to go ahead and keep the Desert Lights palette here by Flower Beauty. So I showed you guys Jungle Lights before. This is Desert Lights. It has more of like those neutral golds, rose gold shades. Also one swipe swatch, very pigmented, beautiful on, and I love the tones on pretty much any eye color. I think it's great, so keeping. Okay, this is such a winner. I'm obsessed. This is the Tinkerbell palette by ColourPop. I love this. I don't know what it is about the quality, the color story, everything about this is heaven for me, and it's just an absolute win. I can't get over how like obsessed I am with every single look I create using this palette. I think it's 10 out of 10. Fantastic. So I'm gonna keep this for sure. I also have these palettes here from Odin's Eye. I don't really use their products that often, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. So this is what this palette here looks like. It is the Soul Mane palette, I wanna say is what it's called. And then this palette right here is the, I don't know how to say, Frisia palette. It definitely has more of like those warmer tones. They actually swatch really nicely and they're pretty easy to work with. The mattes are winners in here. Metallics are also pretty good. So if you were curious about the brand, you know, and you were wanting to try out their goods, I would say they are a winner, but I'm gonna declutter. Next, I have the 2000s palette here by Urban Decay. I picked this up because it just kind of reminded me of like Hilary Duff for some reason. I feel like 2000s was the time where she was really popular. And I think it's really cute, but I think I'm gonna declutter. The quality was nice. I think it was cute, but there are other little ones that I use more. Next up, I have a bunch of these little ones here by Too Faced. So there was a time that I did want to collect and keep all of them. I'm at a point in my life where like, if I use it and I like it and I think it's ultimately the most delicious thing ever, I'll keep. But I also don't mind getting rid of things as well. Just, I don't know, I feel like that's where I'm at in life for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this. I did give this a nice amount of love at the time that it released, and I thought it was amazing and great and beautiful, and I loved the color story, but it was limited edition and I really just don't reach for it. Although I think it was one of their better little ones, but I'm gonna go ahead and declutter that. I think I'm actually gonna keep the Let's Play palette because I haven't given this as much love as I would like, and I love this color story. Rosy tones are stunning, and I also think that this is one of their better ones, so I'm gonna keep that for now. A Hot Butter Rum is one I'm gonna declutter. Also came out a little bit ago, and I did use it a decent amount when it did release, but I don't use it so much anymore. But I loved you at the time. Thank you for serving your purpose. But I'm gonna declutter that. That's my gem. I thought I would be more obsessed with this, but I just felt like from all of them, this was good, but it's not as good as the other ones I just decluttered. So I don't really reach for this as much, even though some of the tones are so pretty, like this pink is stunning. I think that it's okay. I'm ready to part ways, so declutter. Wow, we're on a roll here. I'm also gonna declutter Sugar Cookie. Also really gorgeous. Also hit home for me for a decent amount of time, but I don't really use it so much anymore. Declutter that. And then I also have the Shake Your Pom Poms palette, which is stunning. And with this one as well, one of the shades broke. I think this also fell on the floor. I don't even know what shade that was. Oh, it was like a deep brown. One of my favorite colors. I love deep brown shades, but I you know what it is? I do like this one, and I did use it a decent amount of times. I don't know if I'll repurchase this to have that deep brown shade, or, you know, but I am going to declutter it. Next, I do have this palette here by Too Faced as well. This is the Natural Nudes. I do really like this. I'm not going to say it's my favorite from their line. I think the metallics are a little bit more on the thicker side, but I still think it's really gorgeous, and you could create stunning looks with this. I love the versatility too. It's like everything you would need in like the neutral family. So I'm going to keep this. I am going to declutter the Artist Couture Caliente palette. I didn't really like the quality of this one. This one right here had hard pan really quick, and honestly, I don't really know what I was thinking when I purchased this. I think I wanted to do like a first impression. It just never ended up happening, and then I felt like it was going on sale everywhere. And then I kept using it, and I'm like, I'm just not feeling it. So declutter. This I love, by the way. I'm so happy that I love a Juvia's Place palette, because there have been so many that I tried by them that I just wasn't a fan of, but I do love this Grace palette. Although I wish there would be more of a color differentiation between some of the shades here, because I feel like these are so similar on the eyes, even this one. So maybe like a lighter silver, almost a white silver would have been cool, or maybe another matte, because this is satin, metallic, and matte. I just feel like maybe they could have done a little bit of a better job when it comes to the color story, so that it doesn't look so similar on the eyes, even if you try to do a different look. But regardless, I still think it's really pretty, and I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna pick up the other quads they have in the line, because so far this is winner. Next, I have this palette here by Pixi. This is one of their loose glitter palettes, similar to the Nobla one, which I don't use a ton, but it's nice to know that I have the option if I want to use this, if I want the options. I'm gonna keep this one. I feel like I'm speaking way too much right now. And then I have these palettes here by Revolution. I'm not really a fan of their palettes. Their quality really, like the most of the stuff I tried kind of sucked, but these are so good. This is so good, okay? This is a similar color story to the, what's it called? Huda Beauty Nude line, nude palettes, right? But I just really like this. And I love these color stories also. So this is medium, so nice, keeping. And then this is light also, very, very nice. I just think these are awesome. If you were wanting to try out something similar to like the Huda Nudes, but you didn't want to spend the money, these are pretty good dupes, I would say. Then I have these palettes here by Huda. So I have the Huda Chocolate. I think I'm going to declutter this one. It's extremely similar to so many other palettes that I have, and I thought that the chocolate line was good, but not the ultimate best. I prefer the nude line from her, so I'm going to declutter this. I think I'm also, I don't know, this is a little bit more unique to my collection, mainly because of this shade, honestly, but if you cover that, is it really unique? I don't know. I'm going to declutter. I want to declutter. He's okay. This is my baby for life. Stunning beyond words. Everything about this is an absolute dream. Love this a ton. I've been using it so beyond consistently, and I think that it offers just so much variety and looks great on the eyes, plus wears beautifully. So I'm keeping for sure. I cannot wait for him to come out with different color stories with this layout, because it's just, I need all of them, seriously. Next, I have this palette here by Pat McGrath. I believe it was limited edition, and I don't know, I feel like for that reason I just don't reach for it. There are other Pat McGrath palettes that I do gravitate towards a lot, so I am going to declutter this one. I am going to keep the Ethereal Bloom palette here by Artist Couture. I do really like this. The quality is fantastic, and it gives me my more pastel options if I'm looking for that. So I'm gonna keep that. Great stuff. I'm gonna declutter the Urban Decay Beach palette. So I did really like this for a significant amount of time, but I do have the Naked Wild West, which I feel like has a similar vibe to it. And the Naked Wild West is permanent. I think this was limited edition, so I'm gonna declutter this one, although it was gorgeous and I used it at the time that it was, I guess somewhat pretty popular. So pretty good stuff, amazing quality. Next I have this Omggg palette here. I feel like this is pretty similar to the maybe Artist Couture palette. You get a lot of deep browns, but this is so nice. I love these kind of tones. I'm gonna go ahead and keep this. Good quality palette as well. Like it works out really nice. These palettes by Essence are, again, as I always say, are decent for drugstore. I feel like I did keep a decent amount of drugstore palettes. So I'm just thinking if I'm gonna keep all of these. I do like the Energy one the most. I love these tones. I think I'm gonna keep Energy because if I ever want to do like a full face of Essence or talk about just Essence goodies, this is a pretty good one. I do like it. These I don't really use as much. I'm gonna declutter those, but I'm gonna keep Energy. Next, I have this LA Girl palette, which I feel like I only used maybe, I don't even know, maybe once or twice. I still want to give it love because I think it has amazing potential. So we're gonna keep it even though I have other color stories that are somewhat similar. I really want to dive deep into this one and see like, hey, are you winner or are you really not? Next, I have the Venus 3 palette by Lime Crime. And you guys know I love these kind of tones. They're so pretty. I don't really use this as much as I would like. It's one of my favorites though from Lime Crime. I do want to kind of whip it out more often because it's stunning. So I'm going to keep it because I just wouldn't be able to get rid of that. Next, I have the Nabla Cutie palette here, the Metropolitan one. So this shade and this shade is like my entire like everything. I love these type of tones together, and then these look so pretty on the lids. I also with this one have not given it that much love, but I do like the quality of Nabla shadow, so I'm gonna keep this little cutie. Then I have this palette right here. Now with this one, I actually don't feel like I use too much. I'm not that into blues per se, and I thought that this was okay for me. Like I wasn't that into like the color story necessarily. So I'm gonna declutter this even though the quality was nice. I also have the Secret Nabla palette here, which I am gonna keep because I feel like it does provide more for me, for my personal taste, my personal liking. And I think it's really pretty on. It's really easy to work with too, so I'm gonna keep that. I have the Persona Identity 2 palette here, which I liked for a decent amount of time, but I just don't really gravitate towards it anymore. And I have so many of these kind of tones already, so the quality was good though. It was nice. Not my ultimate favorite, it was nice. It was nice, easy to work with somewhat. So, but I'm gonna declutter that. This I'm gonna keep. It goes through all my declutters, but this is my first quad ever. I was 17 when I bought this. I never use it, but it's just like for like the nostalgic reasons. So I'm keeping this just so random. I also have the Naked Urban Decay Petite Heat. I do like this one. I have to remember to use it more often, but I do love the quality. I'm gonna keep that oldie but a goodie. I also have a bunch of Ofra palettes here. So I have the Glitch palette, which is beautiful. I actually have a code with Ofra. It's just my name, Liora, for 20% off. I love this as a one swipe swatch palette. Their metallics are stunning, or you could use this in conjunction with other palettes. So I'm gonna keep that. I feel like I'm keeping more in this drawer. This palette right here, I wanna say was limited edition. So I think I'm gonna declutter this one. It came out for holiday last year. It's the New Solstice palette, but I'm gonna declutter this, give it to a better home. I also have the Black Friday palette, which I am gonna declutter because I think it was limited edition as well. And I do have like other palettes that have somewhat of the same color story, although great quality. I like their shadows a lot. Next, I have the Glitch 2000. This is also really pretty. It has just all of their metallic shades. I love using this on its own or with other palettes, so good stuff. This one though is I think my favorite. Yeah, this is my actual, this is like love to me, like pureness. So this is an Ulta exclusive, but it's so nice. And every time I wear this, I'm just like loving my look. Again, deep brown, these go so well together. You get your metallics and of course matte shades. Great, just literally heaven. I haven't said that word once in this video, heaven, okay. And then we have the Good to Go palette. Ooh, this is also so pretty. I forgot about this one. I don't know if it was limited edition, but this is stunning. You can come up with so many different color combinations, and I think it's great. I'm gonna keep that. And then I have the Beauty Bakery palette as well, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I even used once. It looks pretty new. And I do wanna give it love because most of the other palettes I use, I was like not a fan of, so I'm gonna keep this. Okay, so from that drawer, I did get rid of 24, which I think is a decent amount, but I did keep 26 from that drawer, so I really wanted the declutter pile to be a bit more, but I think we're gonna actually do even better in the next drawer. You're gonna be surprised at my declutter skills. Okay, let's go. Okay, so this is the final drawer of palettes. Also with these, it was in the other drawer, but I just put everything in the higher drawer so it'll be easier to film. I'm gonna go ahead and declutter the Zodiac palette by BH Cosmetics. I thought that this was really, really nice. I got a decent amount of use out of it, but I just haven't used it in a very, very long time, and there are other palettes that I prefer more than this one. Although, you know, the Scorpio shade was my favorite, but I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. I am gonna keep the new Pat McGrath Celestial Odyssey palette. This is fairly new to me, and I still wanna give it a little bit more love, or a lot more love, because I feel like it definitely challenges me, it inspires me, takes me out of my comfort zone. It allows me to create looks that I just don't like typically do. So I'm gonna keep this. I love the quality too. Did I say that? I think it's great. Okay, next I'm gonna go ahead and declutter the Tati palette. I know that she is not gonna be making these palettes anymore. And as much as I did like this, and I did use it a handful of times, I actually even took this with me when I did looks on clients. I think it had a lot to offer. I was never fully beyond obsessed with this. I felt like maybe some of the shades were also somewhat repetitive. I get the vibe, but I also felt like it was repetitive. I think that I'm ready to part ways with this and give it a better home, so I'm gonna declutter this. I am gonna keep the Norvina palette. I do love this one. The purples, everything just looks so pretty on, and I would say it's still fairly new to me, but you can do so much with this, and I just love the versatility of browns and purples that are included in here. I love those color stories together so much, and you get a bunch of different finishes in here. I don't own other larger palettes by her, but I do own this and I do like it, so I'm gonna keep that. Okay, next we have just a bunch over here. So I think I'm gonna declutter this palette here. The Carly Bible palette. This was limited edition, and as much as I did think it was great at the time that it was, you know, available, I just don't use it as much now since it was limited. And I think that there are maybe 3 shades in here that I'm obsessed with, but I think I can find those in other palettes as well. Overall, great palette though. I like the quality, but I'm gonna declutter that. I think I'm also gonna declutter the Clover palette. I just keeps going through my declutter videos, and I loved it so much for the packaging, and the color story was pretty cute, but I just don't like really use it. This shade right here has hard pan, so it's really hard to work with. I thought it was cute, and you know, again, I kept it for a while because of, you know, the yumminess. But if I'm really being real with myself, it's not one that I use, so I'm gonna declutter that. Next, I'm also gonna declutter the ABH Sultry palette. So last time I was gonna declutter this, then I pulled it back. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And then since then, I actually didn't even use it once, because I find that when I am going for this color story, I just use my Natasha Denona palettes. I'll be honest, those have been like my ride or die. Just, I'm in love with them. I of course love to have variety from other brands, but I also feel like since this color story was done many times after this one, I feel like this doesn't have the same spotlight as it kind of did initially, you know. And I also have the Urban Decay Reloaded palette, which I'm gonna keep. So, and it's pretty much the same exact thing. So I'm gonna declutter that. I am also, well, okay, this one right here, I'm gonna keep. This is the new ABH Primrose palette, I think it's called. Yeah, this is everything to me, by the way. I don't know why this did not get hype as much as like I would expect, but this is so good. It's the holiday palette they just released for this season, so I'm gonna keep this. This I'm gonna keep as well. This is my favorite ABH palette ever to exist, ever. I adore the color story, I adore the formula, and every time I use this, I'm obsessed. It's just like everything to me, so I'm gonna keep that. Next, so I'll tell you the story with these. Also, with these palettes, I feel like I did keep them for a significant amount of time for the collector in me, but I think at this point I'm just ready to depart ways. Like, part ways, not depart, wait, part ways. I am going to keep the Cinnamon Swirl though, because it just came out and I still want to, you know, use it and enjoy it. I do really like this. The color story is very, very pretty. I do have a first impression up on this and I love the quality, so I'm going to keep that. But I'm going to declutter the Pumpkin Spice palette, which looks just like this. I am going to declutter the Extra Spicy. I hope I won't regret this. I don't think I will. And then the Gingerbread Spice palette, which was the original OG. I'm going to declutter this one too. So, you know, if more palettes come out in the future, will I be able to do comparisons necessarily? For some, yes, and I guess for some, no. The next palette I have up is this one. This is an OG. This was my second high-end palette I ever purchased, and I am going to keep it for nostalgic reasons, even though I really don't ever use it. It's so funny. The quality of this kind of like, I feel like almost sucks compared to the palettes that just came out maybe this year or last year. But this is also very, very old. It was the original OG, even in the thicker packaging. So, but I am going to keep it. I am going to declutter this palette right here, the Too Faced Gold palette, Chocolate Gold. I liked this because it had a lot of metallics, but I felt like it was lacking in the matte family, and it just never looked seamless in a sense. Unless I use this as a one swipe swatch, it was good, but I think I'm ready to part ways. This is a palette that I'm gonna go ahead and keep, the Teddy Bear palette. It's so pretty. I've been neglecting this, but I do really love it and I have to use it more. I know that they're coming out with a different palette for spring, which I'm excited about, but I'm gonna keep this. Nope, not decluttering, keep. This is one I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. It was limited edition, gorgeous though. I have the Urban Decay Cherry palette, which provides more cherry tone shades for me. So I'm gonna say goodbye to this, even though the quality is heaven on that one. I think I'm gonna declutter this as well. This is the other Tarte palette. So the other one was more like of a warm tone palette. This is more like mauve tone. Pretty bad quality. I was very disappointed with this. I didn't end up returning it because I'm like, whatever. I think I threw out the box with this too. So, but I'm gonna declutter that. I also have these palettes here by Lime Crime. So I'm gonna declutter the Venus XL2 palette. I just don't really find myself using this. I like the quality. I think it's pretty good. And I like the earthy green tones. But I think I can have that. I think I have that with other palettes. Even like with the Tinkerbell, like a lot of the shades are somewhat similar. So I'm gonna declutter this. I don't know, with this one I'm like in between because I love it, but I just don't really use it anymore. I do like the Cranberry Life though, so I'm gonna keep it. I have to use it more. I am gonna go ahead and declutter this Jeffree Star Thirsty palette. I thought it was really, really nice, but I also with this just don't really use it. You get mattes on top, mattes on bottom, and metallics in the middle there, so I'm gonna declutter that. I'm also going to declutter this palette here by Revlon. So this right here was kind of like, when it comes to drugstore. I felt like they were very flaky and very thin in consistency, and the shades didn't adhere to the eye well. Like they were not building up for nothing, and they were just like blah. So I'm going to declutter. This is a palette that I used to be obsessed with, and I still am. I just don't use it as much. I just love these 5-pan palettes by Persona. I know she has a pink one that I have to buy, but I love this like orangey warm tone palette. Keeping. Next I have this palette here by Tom Ford. This is in Bad ESS. I'm gonna declutter this one because it is limited edition and I just don't necessarily use tons of limited edition goodies on my eyes if you can't really get it, and I'm wearing a look that's such a vibe and it's like, oh, what are you wearing? And it's like, oh, you can't get it. Which I don't necessarily declutter all limited edition, but for some I don't mind. This one I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. I do love the formula though of Tom Ford shadows. I think that they're really nice and I was getting into it this year. So I'm gonna declutter this. But this one right here in Body Heat I am gonna keep, even though when I spoke to you guys about this, I felt like most of the shades look very, very similar on the eye. I really like the quality and it is available. It's sold on Sephora's site, so I'm gonna keep this. Next, I have this palette here from Melt Cosmetics. It's the Rust palette, which I love pulling out at this time, like at this time of the year. I think it's really, really pretty. You get lots of browns, a yellowy color, and this is one of their better palettes, so I'm gonna keep this one. I am gonna declutter though the Millennial Pinks. This kind of sucked. I was very surprised that this was so bad. but definitely very hard to work with. Yeah, so the quality was just not the best, and also I felt like there was no contrast between the deeper shades and the lighter shades, and I just didn't know how to create looks with this palette truly. So I'm gonna declutter this. I'm also gonna declutter the Stoned Vibes palette. I think I only used just one shade here, this one, I think. I think the only other shades might even be brand new. It is gorgeous. And it is really pretty, but I think I'm gonna declutter this one. I know. I don't know what I was thinking. But okay. Anyway, declutter that. I am gonna declutter the Profusion Mirage palette. As much as I say I'm gonna use this, I just don't use it. And I have so many other palettes now. I'm thinking with some of these colors and these colors. And I mean, I heard that this was really good. I just haven't used it to its T to really know if it's fantastic for the price. But I am gonna declutter this one. I think I'm also gonna go ahead and declutter this Rare Beauty one. This is the True to Myself palette. You get one of those like glittery shades in the middle, and then these shades on the side are like matte and satins. I thought that this was nice. I just thought it was okay. I don't really use it. It's not one that speaks to me as much. I'm also gonna declutter the Vintage Vamp Quad by Charlotte Tilbury. I think that this is good, but I don't think it's her best quad, and I just didn't think it was as unique to my collection. So I would love to see what other quads she has in her line so that I can feel the vibe, but I am gonna declutter this. Also gonna finally declutter this palette. It's been a while, and I thought I wanted to keep it because of the cutesiness, and it was in my life for cutesiness reasons for a while, but I think I'm ready to part ways. Also, I feel like the new Cinnamon Swirl palette pretty much has like one whole side of that palette is this color story, so I'm gonna declutter that. I have the Utopian palette. I think this is what it is. Yeah. Yum. Okay, this is like everything to me. The Utopian palette here by Pat McGrath, which I'm absolutely gonna keep. They actually have a sale going on right now. If you guys got through to this part of the video, I love this. I have a first impression up on it. Fantastic. Also gonna keep this palette. A lot of you guys asked me which other palette I have by her, and this is the Divine Rose. Stunning. It's so pretty. I feel like every time I use this, I'm just like so impressed with all the looks I come up with. So I'm gonna keep that one. And then I have the Ofra Boho palette here, which I do really like. I like that you get everything in here. Shadows, highlighters, you have some brow products down here. What's it called? Brightening shades there. I love this one for like a grab and go vibe. If I want everything in one, I think it's great. So I'm gonna keep this one. That's pretty much it in regards to this drawer. Now let's count. Actually, for these two palettes, I think I'm gonna put it in my declutter pile. I just don't think that I'll necessarily use them, and I'm keeping way too much, and I didn't want it to be like too much, honestly. I really just want to keep a minimal-ish amount, so I'm gonna declutter these two. Okay, so now we're gonna head onto my shelves. I have these palettes here. I haven't organized my shelves in such a long time, so hopefully this video will inspire me, but I'm gonna declutter all of these. I'm gonna declutter this cotton candy one. This one right here is called Orange Sorbet. I'm gonna declutter two. Next, I have this palette here, which is called Cherry on Top, declutter. This palette right here is Bubblegum, which I'm gonna declutter as well. And then I'm also gonna declutter Pistachio. So not that these palettes were the worst thing ever, but they had like a thickness to them and they weren't such a breeze to work with. I loved the vibe of this and I thought it was so cute, but I wasn't really that inspired to use them. I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter sugar cookies. I actually just don't even know if I'm interested. Based on the other 3 or 4 that I've tried, I'm assuming this might be the same. I can't assume, I guess, because I don't know, but I'm just not feeling it. So I'm gonna declutter that. I'm also gonna declutter the Kaleidos, this one, the only one I kept because I realized I already have similar shades in other palettes that I also just kept. So I'm gonna declutter this one too. I also have more palettes here from Huda. So I think I'm gonna declutter this one because I feel like I have so many shades like this already, like especially all the mattes on bottom. I have those over and over again. I love the quality of the metallics. They're really beautiful, but I think I'm gonna declutter this one. I think it's time. The Mercury Retrograde I'm gonna keep. I do love it. I do use it quite often. I should use it more, but one second. Yeah, I think it's absolutely stunning. Somewhat pretty unique to my collection. Also with this one, you could see the bottom row, you have all those like matte shades. Not the same, but similar ones. Naughty Nudes. So mine actually broke, so I had to repurchase because everything is just completely shattered. But so this looks brand new, but I'm gonna keep this. I have to purchase her newer palette, and this is the nude palette, which also, I haven't given a lot of love to, but I think it's so pretty. So I'm going to keep this. And then finally, on this side of my shelves, I have my Urban Decay palettes. I'm going to keep all of them because I actually want to do a ranking video, letting you guys know which ones I love, which ones are worth the money. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them here. I want to say all of them. Moving over to this side, I have my Natasha Denona palettes. I think I'm going to keep all of them. I do really love them. I have to give this one a little bit more love. But yeah, you guys know my obsession with these. And then I have the little ones here, which are just great for traveling. Some of them are better than others, but I would say the last few she released were fantastic. And then I also have these little ones too, which I love. So I'm gonna keep those. But I do have these right here from ColourPop. Okay, and then I also have these from Ofra. So I'm gonna keep all of my Ofra palettes. I love their 5-pan palettes. Their color stories are so fun. And then I'm gonna keep these by e.l.f. too. So this right here is the Strawberry Shake palette. This is one I'm gonna declutter. I was very into it when it came out, but not so much anymore. Next, I have the That's So Taupe, so pretty. I do really like the color story of this, even though I have a few other ones that are somewhat similar. I think I want to keep this one by ColourPop. Next, I have this little cutie here, the Star Wars Mandalorian palette. I'm gonna keep this. I love how like the golds and greens work together, and I think that this is one of their better ones. So I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna declutter the Lilac You a Lot. You guys, so I have a lot of these kind of tones in my collection already, and then I feel like there's always one shade that always breaks, but I'm gonna declutter that. And then Aha Honey, I feel like was a classic at its time, and it is really nice. I feel like they could have done a little bit of a better job with this by adding a deeper brown to kind of deepen up looks if you want to go that route. I just feel like the few times that I use this, everything just always looks the same. So like this was unnecessary because they all look the same anyway. They could have done so much better. Anyway, it's cute and I liked it and I would love to keep it, but I just don't use it, and I can really just pull out other yellows and browns in my collection and, you know, have that for a Aha Honey vibe. So declutter, but keep. So I'm going through more palettes, and I think I'm gonna declutter the Sunset palette by Natasha Denona, only because I already have the Sunrise, and if you guys know how that one looks, it's practically the same. I do prefer the formula in this palette, but I mean, the other one is still pretty good. Not my favorite, but you know. I also did want to say I want to do a ranking video with the $65 pan palette, so if I have to declutter one, I'll just declutter this. And then I think I want to declutter this as well. I have the Pixie one, and I think, like, I usually use the Urban Decay, what is it called? I think the Heavy Metal Glitters if I'm going for such a look. So I don't really think I'm going to use this now that I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to declutter this too. Okay, so I organized these drawers. I have some in here, and you still have some breathable space. And then I have some in here. Before I had 3 full drawers. Now I only have 2 full drawers, which I think is pretty good. And then I also have these, which I have to situate somewhere. And then, like I showed you guys before, some Natasha Denona palettes here, and then here. So in total, when it comes to how many I kept, I counted all of them, all the ones that I just showed you, and it was 105. Here is my pile of goods that I'm actually decluttering. I don't know how much this is. I would assume it's more than 100, but we'll count together. 2, 3, 4, 5, 76, 78, 88, 90. What? I kept more? I need to declutter. No, it doesn't make any sense. I'm getting rid of 10 more. That's it. It's done. It's done. It's not like I necessarily need to declutter more. I'm just looking at the drawers and I'm thinking, like, do I really, really need all of these? So I think I'm going to declutter some of the drugstore palettes. I feel like I did keep a decent amount. So with these, I'm going to declutter this one. I'm going to keep this one though. With these palettes, since I do have the Huda ones, I'm going to declutter this one. I think I have one that's very similar. I'm going to declutter this one right here by Pixie, the loose glitters. Like I mentioned, I used the Urban Decay Heavy Metals more. Okay, then I'm looking at these bite-sized palettes from e.l.f. And realistically, do I use all of them? No, but I just felt like it could be good to have. But now I'm thinking it's okay. I don't necessarily need all of them. I just want to really keep what I use. So I'm going to declutter this one, this blue one. I think I look so off with these shades. And I'm going to keep, I think I'm going to declutter this too. So I'm pretty much only going to keep these 3. I do actually really like those. Okay, so like I said before, 90 declutter, 91, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And before I kept 105. So 105 minus 8 is 93. And I decluttered 98. You want to make it an even 100? See, like, the truth is I would definitely get rid of a few of the Naked palettes, but I'm only keeping them for the sake of a video. So I'm gonna keep those. So since I have these two palettes that are very similar, I'm gonna get rid of the Naked Petite Heat and I'm gonna keep the Persona one. So that's 99. And then for 100, I'm gonna declutter this. I'll just put it like in a keepsake box, but it's gonna be out of my collection. So there you go. 100 is gone. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Definitely, as per usual, let me know down below how you guys think I did. I would love to know your feedback. You know, keep me posted. Let me know what's up. And yes, I will see you guys in my next video. Again, I will have my Poshmark linked down below if you guys want to purchase anything for yourselves. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.